the market. It's a solubilized ubiquinol product, form of coenzyme Q10. And the purpose of this talk really is to go over some issues related to coenzyme Q10 and coenzyme Q10 as a therapy, and to go over some of the areas related to where it sits as a therapeutic product. For example, who may need it and why they may need it. So if we just start off going over a little bit about coenzyme Q10. So it's a fat-soluble vitamin-like substance, and the Q relates to the quinone chemical group, with the 10 referring to the number of isoprenar chemical subunits along the tail. Within the body, it has two main functions. The first is energy production in cellular respiration, and as an antioxidant and antioxidant recycler. Oh, a bit too fast then. So coenzyme Q10, it actually exists in 3 redox states, but we generally refer to both, ubiquinone and ubiquinol. In the fully oxidized state, it's called ubiquinone. There is a partially reduced semiquinone state, and then the fully reduced version called ubiquinol. Now, 96% of the coenzyme Q10 within the body is actually in the form of ubiquinol, and the redox function of ubiquinol in cellular energy production and antioxidant protection is based on the ability to exchange electrons within the redox cycle between ubiquinol and ubiquinone. The names ubiquinone and ubiquinol come from the word, as you're probably quite aware, ubiquitous, which basically means everywhere, because CoQ10 is found so widely within the body. When we look at supplements, or if we look at scientific papers, for example, where you see the name coenzyme Q10, it's generally related to ubiquinone rather than ubiquinol. Ubiquinone was discovered in 1957, and in its reduced form, it oxidizes very easily. So it's been quite difficult to produce a stable reduced form ubiquinol until one actually came to the market in 2006, and that goes by the name of Canica QH. So ubiquinol is also known as Canica or Canica QH. So in regards to the role of coenzyme Q10 within the energy sort of production within the body, it's found within the mitochondria membrane. The mitochondria, as again you're probably all aware, are small rod-shaped organelles found within our cells in abundance within some organs, and they act as power generators, converting oxygen and nutrients from the food we eat into adenosine triphosphate, which is the chemical energy currency that is used by all the cell's metabolic activities. And it's the generation of energy via the electron transport chain that sort of drives this energy production. And so if we have a very brief look at the electron transport chain, in its simplest form, it's a series of protein complexes that are embedded in the mitochondrial membrane. And electrons are captured from donor molecules and transported across the chain from protein to protein. And it's coenzyme Q10 in the form of ubiquinol, which provides the major electron donor involved in this transport chain. And so the electrons are passed from protein to protein, and this is coupled with a pumping of hydrogen ions that then ultimately creates a gradient that is used by ATPase synthase to generate ATP. So if we don't have CoQ10 ubiquinol within the membrane, then we have issues with our energy production. The other function of coenzyme Q10 as ubiquinol is as an antioxidant. So because ubiquinol has hydrogen ions, it's able to donate these electrons to free radicals, and free radicals arise during normal metabolic pathways and processes, but when the body has oh, no, that's me. Sorry, I beg your pardon. That's me pointing at things. I beg your pardon. Okay, I'll stop. So ubiquinol donates its electrons to free radicals and therefore stabilizes those. But not only is it an antioxidant itself, but it's actually involved in the recharging of other antioxidants within the body, such as vitamin C, vitamin E, and lipoic acid. And so not only is it an antioxidant itself, but it's involved in regeneration of other antioxidants. And so here again we see ubiquinol deficiency can alter mitochondrial function, so we see issues with energy production, but it can actually alter antioxidant status, and this leads to increased free radical generation. And again, as you probably know, the impact of increased oxidative stress on the body has many sort of impact on conditions, cardiovascular disease, for example, brain, so sort of Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. If we look at the immune system, again, autoimmune diseases, chronic inflammation, various aspects of dysregulation within the body. So where do we get our CoQ10 from, and can we make it? So the first issue to look at is yes, we can make coenzyme Q10 within the body, and it's made from amino acids, tyrosine and phenylalanine, but it's a multi-step cascade of events, and it requires several vitamins, such as vitamin C, B complex, and any deficiencies in these B complex can cause dysfunction in CoQ10 formation. Another interesting fact is that tissue levels of coenzyme Q10 generally peak at the age of about 20 to 30 and decline thereafter. So once your coenzyme levels have peaked, then levels start to decline. Interesting also is that the conversion of ubiquinone to ubiquinol also declines with age. We can get coenzyme Q10 through the diet, but the majority of the dietary coenzyme Q10 is in the form of ubiquinone, and as I've said, this is because ubiquinol oxidizes very easily. It's rich in foods such as fish, organ meat, and whole grains, and it's estimated that our intake is around about 10 milligrams a day. So, as I've stated, ubiquinol deficiency alters mitochondrial function. It leads to reduced ATP synthase and the increase in free radical generation. We also know that exercise increases the catabolism and need for ubiquinol. We also know that there are certain disease states and conditions where high oxidative stress can deplete ubiquinol levels. And we also know that there are certain pharmaceutical drugs, such as statins, for example, HMG, CoA reductase inhibitors, can block the conversion not only of cholesterol but also of coenzyme Q10. And in fact, anybody who is on statins, really, at the same time that their doctor is prescribing the statins, the doctor should really be prescribing coenzyme Q10 alongside those. So who would benefit from ubiquinol supplementation? Well, anybody who's about 40 plus. As I've said, coenzyme Q10 levels peak at about the age of 20 to 30 and start to decline thereafter. Anybody who's taking statins, and also some beta blockers are known to reduce the level of coenzyme Q10. We know that athletes or particularly active individuals have reduced levels of coenzyme Q10 and could benefit from increasing increasing activity. And we also know that any individual with a condition where there is a high level of oxidative stress, so sort of cardiovascular diseases, immune conditions, inflammatory conditions, and so on, could all benefit from increasing coenzyme Q10 intake. So, as I'm here today to talk about a product that iGenesis is bringing to the market, I should really sort of go over a few facts as to why, as a practitioner, you may want to prescribe or take iGenesis coenzyme Q10. We know that the majority of coenzyme Q10 supplements on the market are in the form of ubiquinone. The ability to convert ubiquinone to ubiquinol reduces with age, and we know that the ability to convert ubiquinone to ubiquinol is also compromised in some disease states. So taking ubiquinol over ubiquinone would certainly be beneficial. We also know that ubiquinol and not ubiquinone is responsible for the majority of the benefits attributed to coenzyme Q10. For example, ubiquinol is the active form involved in energy production, and ubiquinol is also the antioxidant form. So iGenesis coenzyme Q10 is in the form of ubiquinol. We also address various bioavailability issues related to coenzyme Q10 uptake. So now the second half of my talk is going to focus primarily on coenzyme Q10 supplements and some of the bioavailability issues that run alongside them. So coenzyme Q10 absorption occurs in the small intestine. It goes directly into the lymphatic system, and this is followed by absorption into the bloodstream. Coenzyme Q10, because it's such a large lipophilic molecule, the absorption is generally poor, whether it be ubiquinol or ubiquinone. And this is because fat-soluble molecules have to cross something called the unstirred water layer that is in between the lumen of the gut and the actual cells themselves. And they have to cross this water layer for effective uptake. Because the bioavailability is quite poor, around 60% of some supplements can actually be excreted directly in the feces. And so there's a high variability with absorption, and this depends entirely on the dosage form itself. We do know, however, that bioavailability can be increased if you're taking it with sort of fat-containing foods. So the bioavailability depends on the formulation taken. So I've already sort of talked about ubiquinol and ubiquinone. We also know that ubiquinol is slightly more bioavailable than ubiquinone anyway. And this is because the addition of the 2 hydrogen atoms on ubiquinol actually changes the polarity, and it makes ubiquinol slightly more water-soluble, and therefore automatically increases the bioavailability over ubiquinone. So there have been various studies that have tried to address the bioavailability of coenzyme Q10 of both ubiquinone and ubiquinol forms. And this is a study that was published in 1998, and it was a group that looked primarily in this study at ubiquinone formulations. So we know that if we can solubilize coenzyme Q10, we can increase its bioavailability. And so in this study, there were 4 trial groups. 3 of them were given non-solubilized versions. One was in an oil suspension, another one was in tablet form, and one was in powder capsules. The individuals were given 120 milligrams a day for a period of 3 weeks and for a period of 4 weeks. And I'm going to use my little pointer here just for a minute, just because it just sort of helps me to clarify some of the areas. So after 3 weeks, this top graph here. We have our baseline levels, and then we have our final levels. We have an increase fold after 3 weeks of supplementation, and then we have an increase per 100 milligrams in regards to the plasma coenzyme Q10 levels within the blood. And so we can see with the 3 non-soluble or solubilized versions that the soft gel solubilized version was far superior, not only in increased fold, but we would actually expect to see, with increasing bioavailability, an increase per 100 milligrams. And this is exactly what we see. So we see the soft gel solubilized version was far superior than the non-solubilized versions. And then for some reason this same group repeated the same experiment, but they actually only compared the oil suspension, and so the non-solubilized, and a soft gel solubilized again, and they found results that basically mirrored the same as the previous study. And this is a brief summary of another study that attempted to clarify some issues between solubilized ubiquinone and solubilized ubiquinol. So we know that solubilizing coenzyme Q10 increases bioavailability. And again, we have 3 groups here. This was a crossover design, so each individual was actually ended up taking each of the 3 supplements that were involved. Again, we have our baseline, and because it was a single dose, we have a Cmax. So this is the maximum plasma levels that were achieved. Again, we have an increase in fold and an increase per 100 milligrams related to the plasma levels of coenzyme Q10. So our non-solubilized coenzyme Q10 fared the worst. When we solubilize coenzyme Q10, again ubiquinone, we do increase the bioavailability, and we do slightly increase again, also it's quite well actually, the 100 milligram per mil plasma levels. But if we actually look at the solubilized ubiquinol in relation to the solubilized ubiquinone, again, solubilized ubiquinol fares the best out of the 3. And again, we see an increase as the bioavailability increases as well. So we know that ubiquinol is more bioavailable than ubiquinone, and we also know that solubilized ubiquinol is more bioavailable than solubilized ubiquinone. So what about dosing? So if we take ubiquinol and we solubilize it, how much should we actually take? Now this is a study, again a brief summary of a study. Now this isn't actually solubilized, this is standard ubiquinol, but looking at increasing dosage. So it was a 4-week study, either individuals at n equals 20 for the top 2, and there were 19 in the 300 milligram group. And after 4 weeks, so we have our baseline and our final levels. We have our increase in fold, and we have our increase as defined by 100 milligrams. And again, so what we find here, which is quite interesting, and as our dose increases, you would expect to see an increase in fold. But what we don't see is an increase in 100 milligrams, the data here. And basically what this means is that you would expect to see an increase in fold, but having a 300 milligram capsule over a 90 milligram isn't actually going to be that much better for you in regards to the sort of financial outlay, because you're not actually getting more for your money, as it were. So you'd be better to take 3 lots of 90 milligrams over a period of a day rather than try to get much higher levels just using a 300 milligram supplement. And again, I'm not sure whether you can see the detail on this graph, but this is a summary of some studies that was published in a 2007 article. And again, what this study was basically showing was that with increasing dosage, you get an increase in fold, but it doesn't necessarily relate to an increase in 100 milligrams of the supplement. So again, it's not necessarily going to do you any more benefit to take a 300 milligram supplement over a 100 milligram supplement. And so the next area that we look at is the issue with this unstirred water layer. And this is where a novel technology called VESIsorb steps in. And we use this with our solubilized ubiquinol. And the VESIsorb technology is quite clever. Simply put, because there is a water layer that is sort of basically blocking the uptake, normally with a sort of fat product, the body would normally form a bile salt mixed mycel, and this would then take the fat lipophilic molecule through the aqueous environment, through the GI tract, and across the unstirred water layer to the absorptive layer of the epithelium. And the VESIsorb delivery system actually is a novel delivery technology that mimics this natural absorption process, and this improves the bioavailability of very large lipophilic molecules. And if we're looking at VESIsorb delivery, here is a summary of a study that was published in 2009. Now, this is a study that actually used VESIsorb to deliver ubiquinone, but the outcomes are pretty much the same. So what they were showing was that they took 4 different supplements. 3 of them were standard non-solubilized ubiquinone, and 1 ubiquinone that also had the VESIsorb technology applied to it. And as you can see, there's quite a big leap in the plasma levels between the VESIsorb delivered ubiquinol and the standard ubiquinol products. And in fact, they're quoting 622% higher bioavailability than the lowest product there. And so the key points of this training seminar really are that to clarify the fact that ubiquinol is more bioavailable than ubiquinone. Solubilized versions are superior to non-solubilized, and that applies to both ubiquinol and ubiquinone. VESIsorb enhances bioavailability even more than solubilized versions. We also know that the efficiency of the absorption, as defined by the net increase per 100 milligrams, is superior for solubilized ubiquinol when compared to solubilized ubiquinone. However, the efficiency of absorption, as defined again by the net increase per 100 milligrams, is not necessarily improved with increasing dosage. So here we introduce our new product, Ubiquinol QH. It's our fully reduced form of coenzyme Q10, so it's ubiquinol. We have our VESIsorb technology for enhanced bioavailability, insolubilized for enhanced tissue distribution, and the capsules come in doses of 100 milligrams, which is considered to be a therapeutic dose, and can achieve plasma levels much higher than standard solubilized or non-solubilized ubiquinol and ubiquinone products. And as you would expect, there are numerous health benefits that can be applied to ubiquinol. We know that it improves heart health. One of the biggest areas of study when it comes to ubiquinol is heart health. Lowers blood pressure. It can improve circulation. As an antioxidant, it reduces free radical damage, which may then help reduce the normal signs of aging. It can increase energy levels, supports the nervous system, boosts the immune system, and reduces inflammation. So I'm going to end this short training seminar now. We have some details here of how you can contact us if you'd like any more information about the product. We will be having another seminar probably within the next month or so, where we will address and look at some of the actual clinical applications of Ubiquinol in various health conditions. So you'd be very welcome to join us for that. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions that they might like to ask now, or you can contact me directly, or you can contact us at education@iGenis. Okay, I've been asked the price. The price is $39.99, and that's for 60 capsules. So we would advise one capsule a day, 100 milligrams, or in severe cases where we're really looking at sort of real therapeutic, possibly 2 a day. No, that's not a practitioner price. You would have to possibly drop an email to education@iGenis for practitioner prices. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, I've been asked about rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. There certainly is evidence for a role of coenzyme Q10 in both conditions, obviously because of the immune impact and as an antioxidant itself. But I can certainly provide you with some more information on those areas. Okay, I think at that point I'm going to call it a close, and thank you all very, very much for coming tonight, and hopefully we'll see you at a forthcoming webinar. Thank you very much, and good night, everybody, and I'll speak to you all again soon.